right, so we are in pre-show now. Let's see who we've got in the chat room. Prashana is here. And Curt, do you have a link to the chat? Have you got the chat up and running somewhere?
I've got it sitting right here on the screen.
Okay, all right. Prashana's watching us from Nepal, where it's like 2:30 in the morning. Timothy's here. Martin
Wonderful.
K is here from England. The wife, that's Marie. She's here from no telling where she is. Last I heard, she was in Sweden. And then Jan and Dave and Tommy and Daniel and Blaze, Rod, Indrit, and the A Stream TV. That's you. Scott from Michigan. Edward Ford. Northcar is Samuel from Norway. Let's see. PI Engineering, that's Dan. Lucas, Kenny, Tim, John O'Malley, Rudy from Belgium, Ken Richer from one of those states in the Midwest somewhere. Texas Mike. Wonder where Texas Mike's from. And Giles.
Texas?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which part?
All right. Very good. And
Boy, there's some names I've, for all you guys listening in the chat room, by the way, I've been lurking you guys for a while. So, yeah, Martin is one of those names that just jumps right out at me. So,
well, we have a number of Martins.
Thanks for all of your input and helps and hints.
The Martins take turns. There's Martin K in England, and Martin Steed, who's also in England, and then Martin Stuckey, who's in Switzerland. And they take turns. Martin. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Ken Richards in Ohio. Sorry, Ken. There we go. Ohio. All right. Very good. Very good. Greg just joined us. Welcome, Greg. See who else might have popped in when I wasn't paying attention. Rick Clear is here. Rick and I got to meet at StreamCon. That was really cool.
Cool.
And everybody should have a Martin. That's right.
I actually had the first night of the Epic Chef was the night of StreamCon. Well, the days of StreamCon.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd have been there.
Well.
And, you don't turn down a big gig like that.
That's right.
And it's leading to some exciting stuff.
Okay. Now you've got some clips you want to be able to show at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, it's like 313. I figure I tell people I am not the pretty guy. I'm the mechanic. What I did was I grabbed some stuff and just sliced through it. And so the idea to say, this angle, that angle, lower thirds, full screen inserts, did it at the beach, did it at Barnes & Noble, so it's, and then heavily on Epic Chef, because right now that's the pinnacle of performance as far as I can get to anyway. So
gotcha.
Yes, I've got that. I've also got a PowerPoint with some slides of same kind of things, and I want to point out a particular environment of the Epicurean theater and how I set up, just so people can see that.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What did I do with that picture? I had a picture that I wanted to use. You know the routine. I sort of start out with a little monologue at the beginning.
Yep.
And then bring the guest in. And the first question I'll get you, and the questions are really easy, but the first question I'll give you, and don't answer it now, because I want you to be totally spontaneous. But is right. When did you discover live streaming? When did live streaming show up on your radar for the very first time?
I remember very clearly.
No. Don't say it. Yeah. Don't say it. Okay.
I'm not going to say
it. You know when it was. All right, let's see. Where did I put that photo?
I have just a little condenser mic that was one of those accidental purchases. And I'll tell you, it is nice and tight. And I have some other stuff I use, but someone asked what mic I was on. And I think I picked it up on Amazon for about $15 because I was planning on plugging it into a wireless, never got around to it.
Right.
But I just found it again a week ago, and it is good.
Cool. Okay, I found my picture. And let's let's see, what else? We don't need, actually, let's see, 66.
Now, right now I'm seeing myself in my main. Is that what you've got up, or do you have a side by side? That's what I see in the call.
I've got a side by side. Yeah.
Okay.
Side by side is the output. And then
if I put that up as
this
my
would be
main
me.
screen,
and then that's gonna, whoops.
yeah,
What have you done? Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what? I'll just leave my stuff up because it's managing it, and that way my teleprompter right over there, I'll be looking at you and not here.
Right. Okay. All right. So, okay, yeah. So when you play video, what's going to happen? Go ahead and give me a sample for that. I don't see it. Curt, can you hear me? Hello, Curt. Curt, can you hear me?
Okay, sound. Ooh, what am I not getting?
You got me off. Turned me off.
Not getting. Oh, I know. I got to check that button on the call.
Right.
With the
there
little
you go.
arrow. There we
there
go.
You go.
Okay, all right. I got it.
Yeah, turn off the follow button. There you go. The follow button trips a lot of people up on audio. Trips me up. Goodness gracious. Okay.
You know, and you guys were talking to it on one of your shows. That's why I picked up on it.
Okay, show me what a video would look like on you, and let's make sure that everybody's at home is going to be able to see that. Don't see it.
Another great spot.
7-6.
Okay.
Flow.
That's going to work. That's going to be
Low
great.
tide charters, Central Marine.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect. Perfect. All right. All right. I think we were good. I think we were good.
And this real quick, this is
yes.
prop cam. if the history question comes up.
Okay. All right. All right.
And I have a surprise camera too. I'll expose.
Okay. Well, Curt, this is only a 3-hour show, so.
No, it's like hold it up. Hey, look at this. That's it.
I'm teasing. Okay,
it's only a 3-hour show.
But before we go live, let's see. Johnny Campbell's here. He's just joined us. Dave is here. Looking down the list, Martin S is here. Welcome, Martin. Looks like Chris Watts, and anybody else. And Mike Latta. Okay, gotcha. If I missed you, I apologize. We are going to get on the air, but we're going to be 4 minutes late. Well, actually, we're on the air. This is the pre-show. I should have the pre-show graphic. There we go. Now we're officially in pre-show. All right, Kenny says, Tom, fix the full screen issue before you go live, please. Yeah. Let's see, Kenny, if we can do that. Not sure what happened.
It's great to have help.
Yeah, let's see. We're going to go into... real quick. And see, y'all be patient with me just a second, because obviously I made one small change on the Watch Live page today, and obviously had an unintended consequence, which happens.
Yes.
Be patient. Sorry about this, folks. Last minute adjustment. Watch Live. Search for that page. Okay. Watch Live, Watch Live, Watch Live. That should be it right there. There we go. Whoop. And I'm live in the live page. Okay. Now, if somebody in chat remembers what the text was that we needed to add. Something to do with full frame.
Real live stream freak always updates his PC 2 minutes before broadcasting. Absolutely. Except I didn't put version 20 in because I started playing it. It's like, oh, hell no. Not until I get done with the big show next Monday. But it is beta. I get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that second feed is coming from. Bear with us for just a second here. Let's see. Okay. Who was that? Was that Kenny? Kenny, I'm not going to be able to fix that right this minute, but what you can do is down there in the bottom right-hand corner, click the little YouTube logo, and that will take you to the YouTube page for the broadcast. And then you can also pop out the chat and then make the YouTube go full screen. I'm sorry. Obviously, I've done something, and I can't fix it under pressure when all you guys are watching. Oh my goodness, it's like going into the men's room. It's terrible. Okay, enough of that. Curt, I'm going to mute you, and we're going to go to fade to black, and then we'll bring you back if all goes well. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Curt's muted, and let's go. Hello, welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots, and you're in the right place. Yes, sometimes I'm not convinced you are, but today I'm convinced you're in the right place. Streaming Idiots is the place to be. Wednesday afternoons, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, USA, at www.streamingidiots.com. That's right, that's the place to be. Everybody, somebody asked me the other day, Tom, why did you name the show Streaming Idiots? Well, the reason is, other than the obvious, you can fill in the blank on that one. Other than the obvious, the idea is to lower the pressure, lower the success bar. Let's put it that way. Lower the expectations. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to feel like idiots. Everybody that streams starts there. Some of us just never leave there. But that's why we do the show, so we can show how you can live stream, how you can make mistakes, how you can recover from mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. The key is, can you recover and move forward? Like before today's show. You'll have to watch the pre-show on the YouTube recording to get an idea of it. Anyway, we tried to fix something, but couldn't fix it before the show. Delighted that you're here watching us. If you're watching us live, hooray, or broadcasting.com, and click the Watch Live tab there. That way you can get the chat. because the chat is where the chat's probably where the good stuff is. Now Mike L says allow full screen. Thanks, Mike L. I could have used that 7 minutes ago. I'm just teasing. But the chat is where we will be interacting with you, and so we'd love to have you there in chat to interact with us, because that's a lot of the fun of this kind of show, the interactivity. What is it? People will say, Tom, all in caps, you have no audio. Well, that gets my attention, although I think Marie did that one time just to tease me. But it's a great family, a great group of folks. And a lot of these folks are members of the Facebook group, the Streaming Idiots Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/Streaming Idiots. Come on over and join the group. There's a conversation going 24/7 about live streaming and vMix and cameras and PCs and microphones and CDNs and all of those kinds of things. Hat tip to Jan and the wife for starting the group. We're up over 800 members now. And we're being particular. We're not just taking everybody that comes, and I know that sounds kind of silly, but there are folks that are out there that are joining groups just so they can cull through the names and figure out who they can clone and then pester their friends. So we're not just taking every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along. We are being kind of judicious and making sure people have some sort of video background, or they're doing some live streaming, or they're working in their church or something like that to give them some authenticity with the group. And if you just joined Facebook like 3 weeks ago and you're a member of 900 groups, we probably are not going to approve your application to be in Streaming Idiots. So, sorry about that. You're going to have to be a little bit more authentic than that. Anyway, but it's a great group. And the reason we do that is so that we can have really good, rich conversations throughout the week with people, helping people, sharing ideas, sharing successes, and sharing their idiot moments, the times when they pay a learning tax on how not to do something. And those are the best lessons to be shared. And I appreciate folks doing that. By the way, this entire show is an infomercial. Mostly info, but some mercial. And here's the mercial part. It's Eastern Shore Broadcasting is where you can go to buy vMix from me, Tom Sinclair. And when you buy vMix, you buy your vMix license at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, you get me with it. Now, no, I don't come to your house. You don't have to feed me and put me up. But you do get my cell number and my email address and my text and my Facebook PM and all that kind of stuff. So if you need to reach me, you can, because frequently it's 5 minutes until showtime and then something stops working for some reason. And I'm there to help, and that's why I want to be able to support my clients, because I've been there. I know what it's like. And I could give you the top 10 list of things. In fact, we probably ought to do that for a show one time. The top 10 troubleshooting things to check if your show's not working right. We'll put that on the list. Top 10. Got it. Okay, if you've got a keen eye, you probably noticed a little toy over my right shoulder here. Left shoulder to you, right shoulder to me. That's the bird dog. Yes, thank you to Edward Ford for sending it over. We've done a little bit of testing with it, but not enough to bring it out. We're going to have that on next week's show when we have Larry Megan on the show. Larry's the one with Night Owl TV, and Larry's got a great strategy for a remote streaming server. I'm not going to steal his thunder, and we'll get into that. But we'll be reviewing that on next week's. And then the following week, Dan Mial, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Bird Dog will be our guest. So 2 weeks from today, we'll have the Bird Dog guy on, and you'll want to see that too. Also, part of the commercial is, don't forget that we are your source for live streaming gear, and that is for studios, for churches, for sports. We can supply the streaming PCs. In fact, we can supply the whole thing if you need us to. And if you're in a jam and your machine is down, we also rent equipment. So if you need a rental to get you through a rough spot, we can overnight it today for sure. One other thing that I want to do, and this is more on the info side than the commercial side, the new PTC Optics cameras came out that are upgradable to NDI, and the NDI upgrade just rolled out this week, and so a lot of people are upgrading them, and they're saying, oh, wow, it's so great, the difference in latency between SDI and NDI is like virtually indistinguishable. Well, I thought, let's see what happens when one of those cameras, before it gets upgraded, what's the difference between the SDI and the IP? That is, what is the latency over SDI compared to the latency over Ethernet? So I did a quick test, and let me put this up there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me try to sharpen it just a little bit. And the number you're looking for, and in fact, let me see if I can't blow this guy up just a little bit too, is the number below the 34. So below the 34 are some little teeny numbers, and those are tenths, hundredths, and thousandths of a second. And you can see that we're talking about 5/100ths of a second, or about a half of a tenth of a second difference between NDI and IP. The NDI is on the right. The IP is on the left. Excuse me, I misspoke. Between the SDI on the right and the IP on the left, about a half of a tenth of a second. So what is that? 5/100ths? No, that would be 50/100ths. 5/10ths of 1/10 of a second is the latency between SDI and IP with the new PTZ Optics. And again, hat tip to the guys at PTZ Optics, especially the engineer Matt Davis for working this out. It certainly made the NDI part a whole lot easier. Yeah, Giles is saying 5/10ths of a second. 5/10ths of a second. Is it 5/10ths of a second? No, I think it's 5/100ths of a second. Anyway, you guys figure out the math. Tenths would be the first digit, and it's not 5. It's the second digit, which would be hundredths. So I thought that was really interesting. Wanted you guys to see that, because even if you can't go with the NDI route on the camera, you can still get equivalent to SDI performance over IP with the PTZ Optics cam. And I think the package of video is about the same size coming up the pike. So there we go. And Samuel says 500 milliseconds. 50 milliseconds. Thank you, Samuel. That's what I needed right there. Somebody that speaks millis. That's good. All right. Very good. Very impressive indeed. Guest coming up today. Well, Curt Middlebrooks has been on my radar for a long, long time. Probably since the VidBlaster days. Maybe even before that, before the dinosaurs roamed the earth, because he and I are both just old as dirt. And he has been doing the streaming gig down in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the Tampa area, and is finding very fertile ground. And so for those of you that are thinking about, doing some bricks and mortar streaming, not a studio production like this necessarily, but getting out into the community, working for the community and with the community with streaming, you're going to want to pay special attention to this. So, Curt, I'm not going to steal too much of your thunder, but I do want to bring you in, and let's bring in Curt Middlebrooks. Curt, thanks and welcome to the show.
Well, first of all, thank you, Tom, and so many of you out there in the chat room. I mean, seriously, and I think we all know we all get better together, and I've been watching a lot of stuff. So I really appreciate being here today.
Well, good. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. And, you and I had breakfast together, it was probably been a year ago now, down in St. Pete at the airport.
Right.
And you were talking about all the great things that you had coming up. And just, every time you and I correspond, you've got some latest, greatest news. And I just couldn't resist it anymore. I just said, we got to get this guy on the show. And what really pushed me over the top was the cooking show. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me give you the standard question. When did live streaming show up on your radar? How did you get into live streaming? Where did it first grab you? Tell me.
2006. A friend of mine kept bugging me about her neighbor. He said, you got to talk to this guy, got to talk to this guy. And it was an MLM. But they wanted to take on Facebook. Can you believe that? But anyway, their name was Hello World, and what they did, they offered two things. And the big thing they were pushing is you could do video emails. Basically, think of constant contact kind of a modeling with an email that you could build a video, you could wrap a frame around it, send it off, you'd know who opened it, who read it, and all that. But, oh, by the way, they did live streaming. And instantly, when I saw that, I said, people can have their own TV show. And so I was going over to my church in Tampa, Oak Grove Church of God, and I basically said to the pastor, it's like, we should do this. And so I started with Hello World, which was kind of a whole thing. And this was the beginning. It's a ZR900, and we used a K-World USB capture. But I accumulated so much of my hands-on experience just learning more detailed soundboards, watching what the audience experience it was, the chat rooms, PowerPoint. So that was the beginnings. And then I found VidBlaster. But what next?
What next? That's right. And so when did vMix show up on your world? Hold it. I got to get a dum-dum here. Dum-dums are the official candy, well, the unofficial candy of streaming idiots. I need to send you some.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Ken Richter sent me a bunch of them.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's the guest present, right?
That's right. That's right. We'll send you a dum-dum.
VidBlaster showed up when I was doing the streaming at the church, and actually another guy and I started doing some things. We ended up doing a troop support rally in a high school gymnasium, which was watched at the Pentagon because it was a community coming together with the high school, the city, and the community and the county, all basically accepting a community covenant for supporting the troops. So with multiple cameras, we were live streaming that, and I started using VidBlaster back then. That was 2010, and that was pretty neat. We tapped in their soundboard with a wireless mic across the gym, and I kind of sat down in the middle and made up PowerPoint slides for all the dignitaries coming up. So I hung on to VidBlaster all the way up to about a year ago, and I think we're going to get to the question.
Wow.
Of what happened.
Wow, you made it that long. Good for you.
I did.
And then you found vMix, and the rest is history.
Well, vMix was kind of interesting because I'd hung on to VidBlaster so long, and we were doing TV shows. I was doing the church stuff. I was picking up. I did some weddings. I did some memorial services. A couple things like that. And then what happened was a lawyer asked me to live stream a pay-per-view, but more than 7 inputs was going to be required, and that was with that $250 version of VidBlaster. So the option was to buy up and get 20 inputs, or I started looking at vMix because you were, and it was like, I can get 1,000 inputs for $350 and a lot more capability. So the interesting thing was I got vMix from you, and I basically sat head down for 3 days trying to wrap my mind around. I know it's the same process, but the interface was so much different.
Yep.
And after 3 days, I go, I got it. So I go to the pay-per-view, and this is the idiot story. So I go to the pay-per-view, and two things. Number one, we set up into cast so we could control who came in and that they got, the paid for people that could get in there. Well, I figured with only 6 people watching, we'll just start with the 30-day trial account. Well, by lunchtime, all that free bandwidth was used up. And after lunch, we start back up, and everyone's saying, we can't get anything, we can't get anything, we can't get anything. So I'm trying to manage the stream in vMix while chatting with Decast, trying not to buy a whole year's subscription. At the same time, I'm trying to at least get it paid for and back online. And the net result was I spent 2 weeks going through all the different little chunks of video and putting the post-production back together that vMix I now count on and can rely on to do the perfect output and just hand it to the client. So that was a real full day of learning and another 2 weeks of kicking myself in the butt. But I'm very comfortable with vMix. I love the platform, and I just keep pushing further out now.
You are pushing it. You really are. You really are. So tell me about this cooking gig. I mean, that is just fascinating, and I think you've got some clips for us too.
If I can, I'll turn the sound down on it. Can I run that 3 minute 13 and kind of auto narrate it? It's sort of historical, but just as a lead into that is like different from so many of the people I on the show. I want to go and serve the client. And it's a wild, wild west because I go to conform to them. So it's like where they're broadcasting physically, where they're broadcasting to technically. It's like I have to put a new suitcase together every time. So that's my journey. I'm comfortable with it, but it makes for a lot of idiot moments. So I've got that clip ready to push in, and I'm not the pretty guy, but you can see a bunch of different things I do, and at the end is the Epic Chef, which is the show we're going to talk about. You ready?
Ready.
Another great spot.
7-6.
And that's the big fishing tournament. I've done 5 of
Low
those.
tide charters, Central Marine,
Multiple
with
cameras,
Darcy.
80 feet
It
away.
was awesome. I
thousands
mean,
of
the
people.
morning started out pretty slow. We
Lower
or whatever,
third.
but we had it tail walking the whole
You
night.
got it.
Sponsor commercials.
All right, we got Mr. Nick Armstrong, youth angler, coming to the stage, boat number 4.
Yeah, so they've been really good. That's a nice paid-for gig. There's one of theirs, and we do both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. This was a wedding from St. Pete Beach, and what I do is I put in all those slides you're never going to see if you're not at the reception. That day was actually 100% thunderstorm.
That's the right one.
Holding it in place, would
Forecast.
you repeat after me?
And it went left and right around us. And then we've done book signings at Barnes & Noble. We're the first ones that have been able to do that corporately for Barnes & Noble. And I've got a publisher. We've done now 3 of those, and we're looking for a 4th. These are just some little pieces. Eli Gonzalez that goes publishing. If you need a ghost writing job or any help in editing, he's the man. And we brought in an MC, which was a learning experience, which you're going to see Pete O'Shea. That's one of the authors presenting his book. Pete O'Shea came in and interviewed the authors individually, which we gave them all a copy of that. So we were able to showcase their book at a much larger level. Barnes & Noble is great about supporting local authors, by the way. Here's the A-Stream TV, kind of like Streaming Idiots, Friday mornings Eastern Standard Time, 9:30-ish. Good morning, Dan. And that's my partner, Dan, who's now, here's Epic Chef. They have 2 PTZ cameras in the room I tapped into. This is the big centerline one. I'm not happy with the picture, but right now it is what it is. Topher Morrison, and they've got their own operator back there, so I picked from the shots. Coming up shortly. So we got their lower thirds all branded. Here's the ladder for the competition. I use PowerPoint to manage a lot of images. It seems to be a lot easier than individual images. And but I've actually had to break it up into 4 different slideshows because we have so many, but still it's better than like 36 separate ones. Headshots of the MC, of the judges, of the chefs. That's one of my cameras. I call it the wall camera. It's out everyone's way when they're eating really good food. All the sponsors go up, so as they speak about them, I'm feeding that into the feed so we can recognize them. There's one of the judges, and now we're going to Judge Cam, which is straight across the front of the room, so we can get them critiquing the food. And I really had a lot of fun with this, and the guy that runs sound has contracts with all the hotels around here. This is the surprise walk-around camera. That's an iPad, one of the newer iPads using the app NDI camera, and it is just amazing. There you can see Kevin on the right of the screen. He's running that. So that's kind of a real quick run-through of that kind of stuff.
Curt, that's great. That is outstanding. And so this is just something you do a couple days a week, and you take the rest of the week off with your regular job, huh? No.
Well, I grew out of this from doing computers, and I've always been a guy that looked at computers as like, what else can I make it do for humans, for humans, for humans, for humans, for humans? And when I saw this in 2006, it's like, oh my God, we can do TV shows. But I've done 2 lawyers groups on pay-per-view stuff. I've done social media conferences. I've had to do memorial service for a very good friend of mine, but you don't ever say, hey, grandma's dying, let's get plane tickets,
Right.
So we've been able to share that with that. But the coolest wedding I did was in 2010, Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Matt's dad's family was from Holland, so grandma extended family watching from Holland. They were 2 missionaries, and they had met in China where they did missionary work. Matt grew up in Canada. The Canada high school buddies were watching, and their mission partners from China in Mongolia at 2 o'clock in the morning their time were all watching. Plus, I put them on camera at the end of the ceremony and let them talk to their friends and family by telling them who was in the chat room. Grandma had not physically seen Matt in 5 years, and here she is watching his wedding. And it's moments like that that are like, you asked me to talk about one of my best things. For the content and the ability and what we were able to share, that was just really heartwarming, and is a capstone in some of that work I've done. So now I'm working on Epic Chef.
All right, so we are out of time. We're going to go a couple extra minutes because we started late. But Curt, if you were to give advice to somebody that's in another part of the country, somebody that's not going to be your competition, obviously, on how to get started in engaging your community with live streaming, what kind of things would you tell them?
I would say first start finding event planners. I mean, build up your resume. Go and, like I said in the church, you just got to go into the trench. You got to get muddy, and you learn so much. That's why we're here, Streaming Idiots. But I would say start working with event planners, and you've got to build the buzz. There's a bunch of event planners who say, hey, listen, why don't you become the unique one, and I can stream for you? And that's where my focus is now. So I'd say take that approach.
Mm-hmm. And that was the key to opening up this for you, is the event planner.
In this case, it was. I was trying to go to individuals who I thought would like to have a show, and they just weren't getting it. It's starting to break through, though. But anyway, so I branded myself as Curt the Videologist, because I think that's what we are. We're not videographers, but we produce, direct, and engineer simultaneously, and that, I think, is a unique skill set that we all hanging around here have developed.
I love it. I love it. All the best people get to hang out on Streaming Idiots. This is so cool. So, all right. Last question. What's next?
I am teaming up with the guy that does audio. He has contracts with all the hotels around here. And it didn't hit me till the other day when I was heading out to do episode 6. So I said, Ryan, would you introduce me to all these people you have contracts for, or should we just add this to your offerings? Because he doesn't network anymore. He's busy. And he goes, yeah, let's sit down and work up a price sheet. And he already has a ton of gigs, so now we just have to offer that. But the GM and the regional manager for Epicurean Hotel Mainsail have seen what I can do. They like the quality, and they have a lot of properties, and they rent out for corporate events all the time. So I've done all this for free. It was a little bit of grit my teeth. It's opened big doors. Plus, I've been invited to do a TEDx here at University of Tampa. We're going to go look at the facilities next week, and that will be a paid-for gig.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So we're going to have you back on the show in like 6 months and say, okay, tell us what's going on since then. And you'll say,
Tom,
I'm sorry,
you're welcome.
I'll have to be on my yacht to do the show.
I want to do a show from a yacht, and I have a friend who's a yacht broker, a client who's a yacht broker. So we keep talking about doing it via hotspot, which is how I did the wedding. So I know it can be done. So
right.
One day, watch for that.
All right. I'm loving it. Can you hang out for the post show for just a little bit? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Very good. Curt, thanks so much for coming on. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So, there's Curt's story in a nutshell. If you want to know more, it's Streaming Star Pros, and that's the URL, streamingstarpros.com, and you can contact Curt and get more information. Maybe you guys can collaborate with him on a project if you've got something in his area, or he can help you with some ideas how to get starting in your area. Curt Middlebrooks, Streaming Star Pros, thank you so much. Well, if you've watched this far in the show and you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, you may as well. Then you'll get a notice that we're streaming, and you can come watch. We stream every Wednesday at 3:00 Eastern. You can also join the Facebook group. Right down there at the bottom is the Facebook group. There's something going on there 24/7. It is amazing. There's great conversations going on there. And you can learn so much just by learning. If you're a lurker, so you have to start it somewhere. But if you want to lurk for a while, there's no problem. Go ahead and read through, and get a feel for who the group folks are. It's good stuff. So next week coming up is Larry Megan with Night Owl TV talking about a remote streaming server idea that he's got that is just definitely my kind of price. It's like $5 a month. And then the week after that, Dan Meal with Bird Dog TV will be here. Next week we'll have the Bird Dog review. There are lots of cool things coming. Too many to talk about right now. Oh, I know. I almost forgot about the night call of Dan Sinclair. Oh, it's kind of like the night ride of Paul Revere, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Of course, you remember that from your school days. I had a midnight call with Dan Sinclair last night. And we talked about, obviously we talked about vMix, but we talked about vMix, the next vMix, and the vMix after that, and the vMix after that. And I can't tell you anything that we talked about, except that I could just tell in Dan's voice that it was really hard to, back in 2000, back with vMix 17, they had NDI, that was the big thing. And then vMix 18 was kind of a minor release. And then vMix 19, the odd year, was vMix Call. Whoa, big feature. vMix 20, another minor release with some good stuff, but still a minor release. And then vMix 21. How are they going to top NDI and vMix Call? That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. So if you've got some ideas, go on over to the vMix forum. It's forums, plural, .vmix.com, and go to the feature request section and say, hey, I got a great idea for vMix 21, and lay it on them because they'd love to hear from you. Or if read through all those feature requests, and if there's some you like, give it a +1. That way they can gauge the audience interest or the consumer interest. That is us. Because don't you know, I'm in there looking for new features and looking for people that are coming up with great ideas so that I can agree to them because I want to use them too. We're using vMix 20, the beta, on this show. You're not supposed to use a beta, but we're running two PCs, one with the production, one streaming and recording, and vMix 20, the beta. I think it's up to 20.0.0.21, and you can't get that on the vMix website. You got to go to the forum. Forums.vmix.com. Go to the general section of the forum and look for the beta section, and you'll find it. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in live. We'll see you next week. If you're watching live, hang around for the post show. This is going to be cool. We will check you next time. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Curt.
Hey, this is great. The comments are wonderful too.
I love it. I love your comment right there at the end too, because we were still recording the show, and so you're like, "Oh, this is great." It's going to be right there at the end of the show. I love it. It'll be, so people that listen, people that go all the way past the credits will get just that little bitty, little boost. It's like watching a movie.
Super.
Till the end of the credits, because there's going to be something tricky that the editor put at the very end as kind of a reward.
Hey, I got. See this?
What is that?
That's the iPad. Okay,
Yeah.
this is one of the newer ones.
All right.
And this is, you don't want to take it to a race, but for kind of that moderate speed stuff, talk about having a fancy walk-around camera that is pretty darn good, and you can switch from front to back camera on the fly. You can have the mic on it working. You could be doing walk-around for interviews, and it is an NDI camera, which is available for both Apple and Android. It's a $20 app. But this was my LG4, which we'd initially used on the first show as the walk-around camera with vMix call, which what I think is great about that is the operator on here is seeing that they're on or off the air, just like we see in vMix call.
Right.
Whereas with NDI camera, all they know is they're out there. And this last show, Kevin would cut it off, and I'm trying to, from outside the glass, trying to see what he's doing, and all of a sudden I got a black screen, so I got to shift to something real quick. But
Right.
I kind of follow him. But that NDI camera is an amazing app. Plus, theoretically, you could have a whole bunch of remote cameramen without putting any drag on your system.
Right. If the wireless network will support it, that's the part. What did you do there?
This is when I was doing a clean out for my computer work for a client that bought a new building, and this is a new Verizon router with gigabit. I bring my own network, so I did at the fishing tournaments and also at Epic Chef. They gave me a hard wire, told their IT guys to give me 20 megabits, and then I plug into that. Then I plug in, because I've got my ProStar laptop doing Facebook, and then I've got the new Asus doing YouTube and all the mixing, and then I have one of these phones standing by with vMix calls set up just in case, and then I've got the NDI iPad, and I build my own network. So then anyone I want in on it, they're just there. And with the hardwire, the IT guys gave me some really good upload speed, so I don't have to worry. So I can be doing those two streams. But that has been one of the breakthroughs, is just bring your own network if you're going to have any more than just the one device.
Good advice. Good advice.
And
there's a question.
Yeah, find a good router on Craigslist or something.
Right. There's a question in the chat that you answered, but I'm going to ask again because some folks are not watching the chat. But Chris Watts is asking, what is the most interesting field, the most interesting content that your customers want to make a live stream about?
Yeah, I think I answered that. It's right now the one that's at least getting some traction is just professional presentations. I've been very frustrated because, again, I want to go out and be the client's person rather than have my own studio, or like the sports guys, their own network. Trying to convince people they can have their own show. I'm working on a real estate broker, and I've been doing his computer work for about 3 years now. He's a great guy. He is not the most wonderful face, if you will, but I think some of his people, now that he's grown big, it's like, do a weekly show. Because then you're a constant present in the marketplace. You can reach Europe, you can reach Canada, you can reach Japan, you can reach North Carolina, and don't necessarily make it a hard sell. Kind of like this show. It's selling your services, but yet you're showing people, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's what I'm trying. But most of my paid for gigs have been like kind of one shot paid for professional speaking engagements, or one was a 2.5 day forum for the lawyers. So but I think someone could specialize like in the family business, and it could be the weddings, it could be the 50th anniversaries, it could be, the birthday parties. And there's some people out there that'll spend some pretty good money to get everybody else in the audience and not have someone in the back of the room. Yeah, that's reflecting off the teleprompter. But not having someone in the back of the room holding up the camera trying to live stream a wedding or Skype it to just grandma. because we can do, with vMix and a couple of decent cameras, we can do a great job. And you don't step on the feet of videographers, but all the videographers look at me as competition. I haven't found one that said, oh my God, we can upsell each other and we can make a ton of money.
Right.
So it's weird.
Interesting. So there's still some work to do. That's good, though. That's good, because where there's work to do, there's opportunity.
My book that is almost finished, it's called Blow Out the Walls. And the idea is I'm targeting event planners with, like, if you make some modifications to how you set up your program for your events, you can make it live stream friendly. And I've fallen into the marketing role. In fact, one of the greatest compliments I got was one of the mainsail, which is the next level up from the hotel. One of the mainsail marketing guys found my website and he read my blog posts, and then he sent it out to all his other marketing people. InfoMe said, oh my God, you should read this guy. This guy knows a lot of stuff about how we can market this stuff. So I'm trying to consult as, we need to buzz it up. We need to pick where it's going to be so we can give everybody a link in advance. And there's so many people that are they don't understand this world yet because they've never been involved in any kind of production. But I honestly learned a whole bunch of this working with Soldiers Angels on fundraising campaigns just as a blogger. And I just watched and saw how you engage people, how you pick up audience, how you build an audience. So I take that knowledge from that just volunteering and getting laptops with voice-activated software for our wounded troops, whether it's hands or eyes, and we provide over 6,000 over a couple of years. But I take that understanding and I brought it forward in this world, and the marketing people at feedingtampabay.org, they get it now. And they've really done a pretty good job once I got them out of the starting blocks, but most other people haven't understood that yet. But I think this event planner I'm working with here with this, I think we're going to bring her into the modern age, and she's going to make even more money than she's making. Oh, I'll make some along the way.
Right. How about, and it'll rejuvenate her career. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Well, she can be the unique one in the field of, even though she's got his twin sister out in California, and they're reasonably well known, but now all of a sudden we're going to expand their offerings to another level. And I think the great thing is she's walked behind me, and they all have seen the output of the show, and they know it's not magic fancy editing after the fact, that it's like that was live. And so that's, and I'll talk to her this week about having lunch with her, even if I have to buy it or give her a dum-dum. It's going to be worth every penny, I think.
That's right. Dum-dums for idiots. There we go. So.
That's funny.
What I love about this the most of all, Curt, I mean, the technology part of it, I get. Yes. And most of us nerdy, geeky types, we get the technology part of it. But you get the people part of it. You get what it takes to translate that nerdy part that I do that people really don't care about. I mean, if I sit down at dinner and I try to describe to my wife about how I produce this show, I'll be eating alone. I mean, I just, she has no interest in it. But if I were to be streaming one of her children in a soccer match, she's all over. She's loving that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This has become my pitch. And the guy who's the MC for the show, who I took a business class from a couple years ago, and he's just really a super guy, and he's just written a book on public speaking that's amazing. But he has to develop pitches. And so my pitch is, and the why, is I think I can build the economy in two different ways. One is I'm going to be able to go in small and medium businesses and put them up on a world stage next to their, David and Goliath competition type role. And at the same time, I want to facilitate training people to do what I do, because I can't be everywhere at once. So we're going to be able to build people that have their own business, supporting people who have before had to go to two middlemen, or they could go to the local TV public access station, but they would only be in their area, but they couldn't reach the audience in Duluth or Albuquerque or wherever where it was not maybe economical to fly or for people to fly in. So maybe using a smaller venue rather than the huge room that everyone doesn't show up or everyone doesn't buy tickets for. It's like, I honestly want to facilitate people getting this understanding is they can have their own show. They can have their own worldwide audience. A garage band can have a worldwide concert from their garage, as long as they give me good internet. And I would just love to see small people jumping on that world stage and everybody going like, where'd they come from? To me, we are the Uber to the taxi to TV. That's what we all are. So going out and that is exactly what we are. And here is, I'll just throw this slide in real quick because there was a TV studio going to episode 6. That was 3 backpacks, and I'm showing off with that touchscreen, the 22-inch Dell SX 2240T. I'm showing off with it. But at the end of the day, and then in the big bag are the 3 tripods, 3 cameras, and then the bag full of stuff so I can connect to the sound guy. But that's my studio right there. And like I said, the Dell that's just showing off. But it's a touchscreen, and the way vMix is configured, once you've got everything in place, it is amazingly easy to use that touchscreen to manage your whole production. And those are not that expensive. They're full HD, HDMI, and DVI also, and a USB cord, and you're off to the races. So that's my footprint right there. I mean, who else can get you the world with a footprint? And then here's the inside of the room. So there's the wall cam, there's the judge cam, the PTZ cameras are up in the upper left corner and out on the main stage. It's an exquisite theater, and it's rented out all the time, and the GM and the regional manager are just so impressed. So I have figured out how to tap into their system, and the people put it in said it couldn't be done. So that's I want to be the guy that can walk in one load out of the car and in 30 minutes be doing your show with your content through your choice of CDN, Facebook, YouTube, to cast. I don't care. But what I want to do is facilitate them under their branding to be that presence. And so far it's starting. I'm starting to get a little traction with people now saying, "Tell me more." Up until last summer, literally their faces would go blank, and you could look in their eyes, their brain was off. And I think they didn't want to hear a number that in the back of their head was going to be huge. So anyway, so I want to be that guy that takes the Davids onto the field with the Goliaths, and we want to see Goliath laying down dead.
Or
a biblical metaphor.
Or maybe Goliath says, tell me what you're doing. I want to know more.
That's true. And even some of the bigger guys, obviously, we can go in and help facilitate, maybe bring their costs down, or maybe years ago I saw a live stream. Some Lockheed Martin guys had a shop that, because so many VPs wanted a yak, they basically have flyaway kits. They can be out the door in 30 minutes. All in the big hard shell cases. They can be somewhere set up in 30 minutes. But again, I want to be the guy that can do that. But right now, I don't work for Lockheed Martin, so I don't have a lot of senior VPs who want me to show up. But I'm starting to get there. And I have done probably over 500 broadcasts, counting a lot of the church for years, every Sunday. And boy, I learned so much. And the background, that the delay time on the other end. Don't stop your streaming until the streaming end sees the end of your stream. So you don't cut off the credits or the last couple of shots, using PowerPoint to manage images, mics, building my own network. a phenomenal journey, but I'm not even breathing hard doing Epic Chef. It's it just, but that's the thing is you just gotta go out and get their hands dirty. You just, like everything, writing a book, doing a blog, doing a podcast, just do it and start with maybe something as simple as this. I buy stuff on Craigslist. I bring it home. I plug it in. It's like it should work, does it? And there's been a few things that's like, nah, it didn't. But you can start on a budget. You can work your way up. And as a client has asked for something, then I've gone and purchased. If it was that important. Like I bought for Epic Chef mic stands. That's a hot tip. My Canon HF G20, or I've got a 10 and 230s, and you get a $10 adapter to screw on the top of a mic stand, and your camera will sit there fine. You don't have the footprint of a tripod in a room full of some pretty high rollers. We're getting a very nice and expensive meal, having paid, they'll pay $120 next week to be in the room, and I can be up against the wall and out of the way and not worry about two things. Number one, getting hurt tripping over something, but better yet, not having a camera knocked over because they've got the servers going up to the chefs, and that judge cam, sometimes they're like right in front of it, and I'm like knocking on the glass, move please. But the mic stand was a great idea. They're sturdy enough. And they take up such a small footprint. I'm using them right now. I don't even set my tripod. This is my home studio, but I don't bring people in here except for Dan. And again, it was like, how do I conform? How do I be the least of? I want to be the guy they don't even know I was there at the end, but yet they can see the output and go, "How'd you do that?" And they go, "Well, was that guy over there?" So far that's kind of working out.
Awesome. Great tip on the
Looking
mic
at-
stands too, by
yeah.
the way. Thank you. That's good.
Oh yeah, and it was Topher that said that. But yeah, you get a little $10 adapter and screw it right in. Now, it's not as easy as some of those nice heads on tripods, but
Sure.
if you're going to have a fixed shot, get it fixed. I also picked up a stand for my iPad, so which screws on a mic stand or a camera mount. So if I needed to, I could pull this up. But yeah, if you get an A9X based thing, and this set sits on for 2 hours at that show, and it uses like 8% of the battery, even sitting on, and then Kevin will come out and grab it, and he'll look at me and say, "I got it." And he'll walk in the room, and I see it come up in the input when he goes on, and I'll cut in that camera. And he's gotten really good at getting some really great shots right over the shoulders of these guys as they're cooking and putting stuff on the plates and taking over to the judges. So it is again, very small footprint and pretty unobtrusive in the grand scheme of things, with pretty good quality of a shot in a small space like that. You wouldn't want to go across a basketball court with it. So
Right.
That's one way to do it.
Right. Oh, how awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wish I
So
could come down
yeah,
and
you
see.
you can write off the business trip to come. That's right, to come down and do something here and get to see the kids.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'll have to check your calendar against my calendar and see if I can't come hang out and help you out with one of these events. That would be a blast. That would be a blast.
Yeah, I'm working on the TEDx. They're over at University of Tampa. The lady that's setting it up, and the neat thing was, is she called me and said, "It's going to be 2 hours. How much will it cost?" Because we need to put it in the budget. Most people I run into, they're like a week out, and they say, "Oh, well, will you do it?" It's like, it's going to cost. They said, "We haven't budgeted." So that's been a breakthrough. But anyway, the end of the month, I'm going to go with her when she looks at spaces, and I told her, if I go with you, then we can verify to do the streaming will be feasible. We don't want to have you contract for a room that isn't going to work.
Right.
So the last week of the month, we're going to be doing that, and then we're going to get the dates, but they're going to have about a 2-hour thing, and they want to do what looks like a TED Talk, not just like someone in the back of the room holding up a phone while someone talks like a TED Talk.
Right.
So I'll keep you apprised on that. So that might be a
That's
really
awesome.
good one.
Do you have a tentative
Yeah.
date on that or a time period?
I don't yet, but I know it's the last week of this month is when she's going to go start looking at the rooms. So I will know by the end of the month because I'll be with her that day doing what I call my site survey. You know, how fast is the internet? Where do I plug into it, or do I need an access code? You know, where can I plug in so my cords are out of everybody's way? Set up tripods. How many cameras? Am I going to have to plug into your laptop or do NDI? So that's my site survey with my client, so I can validate it's going to work there. And sometimes we've had to say, we should go somewhere else.
Kenny's got a question in the chat room asking if you bring your own
Okay.
lighting in those cases. Do you bring your own lighting?
I generally never do. There was one case I did, but it was like we needed to. So by and large, I try not to do that. And that's part of my site survey is like, is it going to be bright enough? October 2014, I got asked, would you do our social media conference? And we ended up in the conference room. I mean, they were a couple days away. And when we get in there, it was like I could see the screen with the PowerPoint on it, and you could kind of barely see someone standing to the left and the right. But the room had been an evening restaurant, and they converted it into a conference room, and that's as bright as the lights were in the room. And, you know, we dealt with it. The content going out was good. I had their slides. We could see them on the screen. You could kind of see them gesturing, but it was but that was one of my add this to the site survey, make sure we're going to have adequate lighting. But
Right.
I also will sit and play with my camera controls, and sometimes I can
Right.
bring it up where I'm not going to have to mess with lighting.
Right. Right. Good question, Kenny. Most people don't think about lighting until it's too late.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, and what's in the background and the ambient noise, like on the Epic Chef, behind the judges is a great big window, and it's like drop the shade so we don't have cars going by up and down Howard Avenue right behind them. And
Right.
so it becomes that stand in the environment, and from getting my hands dirty and from that lighting experience and working with sound at the church board, it's kind of like my scan is expanded anytime I walk into one of those rooms, besides
Right.
just, do we have internet? Is it fast enough?
Right,
It
right.
goes into all of that. So it's like, let's find a space gig. They may be in someone's way that's a paid audience member, you know. So
Uh-huh.
that's one of the other outfalls of that.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions for Curt? We'll see if we can generate one last round and then cut you loose so you can go do something constructive instead of sit around with us and watch me
Actually,
suck on dumb
I have a funny story. I was getting ready. I was
Ah.
loading up the car Monday afternoon.
Yeah?
I opened the tailgate of the Kia Soul, and I had a Dell desktop. I just finished moving someone's data to a new computer to take this. It fell out and landed on my left foot, and it was an old school one. So I'm staying off my left foot. It's pretty much okay today, but it was like, damn, I think I broke my foot. But the show must go on.
Oh, man. That's
And
terrible.
thankfully, it wasn't stiff until the next morning. By yesterday afternoon, it was pretty good. And today, you can see the swelling, but I'm not going to go running on the beach tonight. I want to live stream obstacle course races.
Yeah.
That's what I do for fun. But yet, where they have them, they ain't no internet out there. So yeah. Anyway, but I've run a bunch of those. I got 2 more this year. If you want to come with me, I'll be happy to send you information. Spartan,
I don't run.
Tough Mudder, Savage.
My
It's
knees have
fun.
given out. I have no knees.
Okay.
I have no knees.
Oh,
Tommy's
okay.
asking
Go,
when
Tom,
you do a. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you do site check, use a checklist. I don't have, I have the list mostly written, and I do not have it all down, and that's going to be part of finishing up my book is building a procedure guide. When I was leaving the Navy, doing process management control was a big thing. I got drug and kicking and screaming, but I saw us go from $34 million to $100 million worth of work with the same staff in the same building because we wrote it down. So that will be a part of that, and I would be happy to share that. In fact, Tom, what I'll do is Tommy, I'll make that a priority. I'll ship it up to Tom.
No,
and,
here's what you do.
That will be my thank you for lurking on all these sites.
Curt, put it in on the Streaming Idiots Facebook page in the file section.
Okay.
Would you do that? That way everybody can get to it.
I will do that.
And what a great
and again,
resource.
It's a lot of hard lessons learned, and hopefully we'll save an idiot from being an idiot again or ever and at least some of those things. Because that's how it works.
Cool, man. I love it.
Fun filming tough. That sounds like fun filming Tough Mudder event. Yeah. Oh no. If anyone's got any ideas on how to expand that capability to be able to cover that, one of the up in Dade City, Little Everglades Ranch, 2,000 acres. Really beautiful place. I've run a bunch of Savage races up there, but it definitely would not be able to make it easy to have a remote camera person out at the Sawtooth, for instance, or Colossus. For some of you guys know what that is. But that I would like to blend that together because I just love that stuff myself. But I just think it is a wonderfully positive environment. That's what I really like about it. There's people of all kinds of capabilities. There's the hardcore people that are getting paid, and then there's a bunch of people just having fun, helping each other, encouraging each other. Everyone's got a smile on their face. Everyone gets a free beer if you're old enough, and you get a free T-shirt. But it's a wonderful experience to do that, and I would like to be able to share that. Spartan does live stream their stuff, and I've been watching them to see their format and figure out how to make vMix put all those things on the side. I already know how to play a video, so I could have interviews, I could have commercials. It's like trying to make a scoreboard-like titling thing fed from an Excel spreadsheet, which I can write macros. I tried that with the fishing tournament. I started writing on a macro that could take the top 25. Someone just hit the button that would sort them and feed them, although we didn't have anybody to put in the top 25. But I had it working here at home with dummy information.
Right.
So that's the pushing out and trying to make it look like those real TV sporting events any place I can.
Awesome. Folks, Curt is a hidden gem. He's not hidden anymore. But
anyone wants to come down and help, just let me know. And I need an intern.
Well,
seriously. And
Curt, can you have a virtual intern? Do they have to be in St. Pete? If they're going to enter data, can't they enter data in Texas?
Oh, they definitely could. And the other thing is, if you've got and you sparked this idea the morning we had breakfast a couple years ago. I think it was actually more than we'd like to think way back. But if someone was capable of walking in and plugging up the gear, you could use like TeamViewer and log in and actually be running the whole thing on vMix.
Yeah. That's vMix 21 right there, isn't it?
Yes. What's that?
That's vMix 21. Remote control vMix. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Look this up. Make.tv. Look them up. I found them a couple years ago. Unfortunately, they don't have a 30-day free trial anymore, but literally everything is virtual.
Huh.
You can have someone doing graphics, someone doing lower thirds. You can have cameramen. Anywhere connected to the internet, not just in your local network.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean that. But yeah, having someone be able to come in and work with me, critiquing them, and they can get some hands-on training. I'm thinking about making a logbook up too. I skydived for an awful lot of years, and of course, you know how many jumps, how many hours, what kind of stuff you did. But I think if we create a logbook that can document, and I think producer, directing, and engineering are building blocks. But you know where you start and you sort of work your way up to where you can be the one-man band. Because quite honestly, there's only one keyboard for the most part. So that's an issue. But you know, how many hours did you stream? What cameras did you use? What mics did you use? Where was it? You know, who was the client? You know, where were they streaming to? Because that can, if you start accumulating hours from a business standpoint, when you approach someone and say, listen, I'd like you to have a weekly TV show, and they go like, yeah, how good are you? It's like, oh, I probably streamed over 5,000 hours, of which 3,500 were business-related events. And they were for this client. They were I've done YouTube, I've done Facebook, I've done the cast, I've done this, I've done that, you know. And so what happened? Just like in skydiving, when you show up at another drop zone, it's like, let me see your logbook. It's like, okay, you got like 1,000 jumps, and your last one was made, you know, a couple of days ago, or a month ago, or what, 5 years ago. We're going to make you requal, but I think that will help people have something that they can just document on the fly, and even maybe import the log file out of vMix and have it stuff that information, because that's your start time, your stop time, how many frames were dropped, and just suck that in. And then if you keep that, you can show that to people and say, I'm experienced, particularly because this is a whole new professional gig, if you will.
Right.
And we're kind of like the guy in the corner that will take the virus out of your computer. Except people don't understand we're a whole TV station that shows up in your conference room. We're on one end, and you do a thing that looks just like a TV show on TV, except, oh, it's going to the whole world. So that's what we all can do. And for a couple of years, there's going to be plenty of business to go around. But I'm in near St. Pete, Largo. I'm not far from the ocean. It's like right over there. And had I not dropped that computer on my foot Monday night, I'd be running on the beach with the meetup group for about 5 miles. So anyone who's in the area would be happy to sit down and have coffee, and we can break out the gear and tell streaming stories.
Well, Curt, you're just a real champ to come on the show and spend so much time with us and open up your Pandora box of wonderful tricks. And this is good. This is good.
Yeah, George Vic, I think at one level you're correct, but I think there's so many other platforms out there. We'd want to make it so it could be, were you on OBS? Were you on Minicam? Were you on vMix? Were you on VidBlast? Or were you on Wirecast? Because at the end of the day, that's going to be valuable experience. You become more comfortable being able to go to whoever and they say, we're all Macs. We want to use this. It's like, yeah, I know Wirecast. No big deal. You know, instead of like, that'll take me a week to train, plus I got to spend $500 and yada, yada, yada. But right. I think a logbook for any streaming functionality and just document the whole thing, and every line item is like a jump. You know, it's like you knew when, where, who, what, you know, how many points you made on the turn, the altitude you got out at, and you know, I think it's going to be great for us professionally to be able to really show people we know what we're doing, and that's why I say just get out and start doing it. So I'll work on that too. All right,
cool.
Make MAKE.TV. Like make something, make a cake, not Mike.
There you go.
So, yep, make TV.
Go. George
Certified
Vic, glad to have you.
Absolutely.
There we go. There we go. All right, well, I'm stoked. I don't know about you guys. I want to go out and stream something. Oh, wait, that's what I'm doing.
You know, you don't have to send me the dum-dum, but the next time you come down, I expect it. Not licked either.
Oh, not unopened. Not previously sampled. Okay. That's right. Good. Curt, you're a champ. Cut you loose. Go heal
All
up
right.
on that foot.
Well, thanks to the
Thank you.
community. Looking forward to working with all of y'all.
Excellent.
Yeah, not
Excellent.
broadcast engineers. We're videologists. We're different.
That's right.
We're special and we're new. And it'll get their attention. So,
It's coming together,
all right.
guys.
I'm
It's
ready to
coming
go.
together.
Thanks very much, Tom, and I'll see you soon, I hope.
Good. Great. Thanks, Curt. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, there's the story. You know, Curt gave it to you, and you need to take notes. Remember, this whole thing is being recorded on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can go back and watch it in its entirety. Not just the show, but the pre-show, what little bit there was, and then this immense, valuable post-show. Really, really great. Hat tip to Curt for doing that with us. Curt, if you're still listening, hang on for just a second. I want to talk with you privately. But we are going to switch over and let the stream run out. We'll see you guys next week, next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, when Larry Megan is our guest from Night Owl TV. You can look him up. But really what he's got going on is he's talking about the whole idea of, you know, streaming to another server and then letting that server multi-stream other places. And he's found an interesting way to do that. So we're looking forward to having Larry on next week, and then Dan Meal from Bird Dog TV the week after that. So have a great week. Keep streaming, and we will see you soon.